Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Liliana Letran-Garcia, and I have the honor of serving as a CEO and President of Comunidades Latinas Unidas en Servicio CLUS. Before we begin, I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the organizations and leaders who helped make this important hearing possible. Thank you to the Hispanic Federation and Frankie, Luis Miranda, and the entire Miranda family for their leadership and commitment to uplifting Latino communities across the country. Thank you as well to the Latino Victory and Catherine Pichardo for their partnership and dedication to civic engagement and representation. And we are honored to be joined by the Honorable Rochelle Garza, Chair of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, whose presence underscored the importance of ensuring that civil rights protections are upheld in all communities. On behalf of CLUS, thank you for being here today. Thank you to the community members, leaders, advocates, and families who join us in person, and to those watching via live stream. Your presence today matters. It sends a powerful message. Our communities are not invisible, and our voices matter. CLUS was founded in 1981 with a clear mission: to stand with Latino families in Minnesota and help build pathways to opportunity, stability, prosperity, and well-being. Today, more than 4 decades later, Latinx Minnesotans are a vital part of our state. We are union and agricultural workers. We are business owners, nurses, doctors, parents, teachers, students, community and faith leaders who contribute every day to the economic, cultural, and civic life of Minnesota. For more than 40 years, CLUS has walked alongside families through moments of opportunity, through moments of uncertainty, and moments when dignity and justice must be defended. Today is one of those moments. Across Minnesota, and especially here in the Twin Cities, my home, immigrant families are experiencing increased fear, confusion, and disruption in their daily lives as immigration enforcement practices intensify. Parents are worried about going to work. Children are worried about going to school. Families are worried about whether they will see each other again tomorrow. At CLUS, we see the human impact of these realities every single day. Families walk through our doors not only seeking services, they come seeking clarity, reassurance, and hope. They come looking for trusted guidance in moments when the world around them suddenly feels uncertain. And that is why today, the Hispanic Federation's People's Hearing matters. This hearing is about documenting truth. It is about lifting lived experience. And it is about ensuring that the voices of our community are heard clearly by those who hold the power to shape policy and protect rights. Behind every policy decision, there are real human lives. Today, we will hear from communities members whose stories reflect both the challenges families are facing and the extraordinary courage they show every day. To those who will share their testimony, thank you. Your voices are powerful, your experiences matter, and your courage will help us illuminate a path forward for all of us. We are so grateful to the many leaders, advocates, and organizations who continue to stand alongside immigrant communities in pursuit of dignity, fairness, and accountability. And before we begin the hearing, it is my true honor to introduce a leader who understands that the law is not simply a system of rules. It is a promise that every person deserves protection, dignity, and a fair chance to build a future. At its best, the law is meant to serve the people, to stand with families, and to protect communities, and to ensure that justice is not reserved for the powerful, but accessible to everyone. Minnesota's Attorney General has made that principle central to his work. He often describes his role as serving as the people's lawyer, standing up for Minnesota so they can afford their lives, protect their families, and live with safety, dignity, and respect. Please join me in welcoming Minnesota's Attorney General, Keith Ellison.
Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. And thank you so much for pulling us together today for this very critical hearing. It is indeed an honor for all of us to be in the presence of Luis Miranda, who not only is a pretty good dad, but is an amazing leader in his own right in New York and across the country. I don't know if it's legal to applaud at a hearing like this, but Luis Miranda, everybody. and thank you for your team, and thank you for everyone. Also, let me say I'm very grateful and appreciate very much all of the people who will present today, including our municipal leaders who are here. We're in the city of St. Paul with Mayor Kali Herr, who we're so proud of. Thank you, and let me say thank you to all of our municipal leaders who have come here today to share. And of course, thank you to CLUES for its many decades of tremendous service to our community, to its invaluable contributions year after year. We're so much in your debt. But mostly thank you to the members of the community. If you have given someone a ride to their job that they were terrified to do on their own, if you've looked after their children, if you provided groceries to their home, if you've shopped in the store at Mercado Central or any business where our Latino business community is making such a tremendous and vitally important contribution to our economy, if you have stepped forward and helped, even if you've made prayers, which are no small thing in my opinion, thank you for all that you've done. Clearly, Minnesota has been through a traumatic experience, and clearly Minnesotans have stepped up to help each other, in many ways led by our Latino community, but also with our Somali community, Hmong community, black, white, all colors, all cultures, all faiths, with the leadership of our Latino community. We're so grateful for that. So this gathering is to hear testimony is really a long part of our civil rights tradition. When communities' rights are being violated, listening to, learning from, recording these experiences make us reflect on what we've been through and be stronger for the next time. And of course, the next time is still, this is still going on. We have an ongoing issue. So as Attorney General in the state of Minnesota, my responsibility is to protect the people of Minnesota, and defend the rule of law. What is the rule of law? This is a good question. What's the rule of law? Philosopher John Locke one time said in 1689, in a treatise on civil government, he said, "Where law ends, tyranny begins." Exactly a century later, the United States Constitution was ratified, cementing the rule of law as a means of escaping tyranny, tyrannical rule. It also makes sense to ask yourself, what is tyranny? Tyranny is when one person on a whim gets to decide for everyone. And they may use violence, and maybe they don't. But the people's voices are not heard under tyrannical government. Right now, the rule of law is under attack. Right now, the rule of law is under assault, and we will not stand by and allow tyranny to replace it. No one, no matter who the president may be or who's occupying the government, is above the law. No one is beneath it. Certainly communities we represent are not beneath the law protection. And no one in our country, no matter where you are born, is beneath the protection of the law, and that is why these stories are so critically important. Let me talk about Operation Metro Surge. Operation Metro Surge is the name that the federal government, Department of Homeland Security, has given to what they've been doing in Minnesota. It is the single largest deployment of federal immigration agents in our history, period. Never before have we seen nearly 4,000 armed, masked, mostly men, descend upon our state, bringing chaos, violence, and death. Minnesotans know well the impact of this surge, and they deserve to be known across the United States. Among them, Minnesotans have endured widespread racial profiling. How many people stopped, pulled out of their car, and had papers demanded because they looked Hispanic, which is interesting because Hispanics come in all colors, right? Federal agents have violated the constitutional rights of legal observers and protesters and intentionally intimidated an untold number of Minnesotans for exercising their rights. Businesses have been closed and jobs have been lost. Tens of thousands of children have been forced to miss school. Children have fallen behind in school because of this, and people have fallen behind on their rent because they could not get safely to work. Children like Liam Conejo Ramos showed the world how cruel some adults can be. This young man, who I'm so proud of, I just want to hug that kid, 5 years old. He will never forget what happened to him and his dad. And I pray for him, and I urge you to do the same. ICE agents shot Julia Sosa Celis in the leg, then lied about why. During that event, they unleashed tear gas on observers, causing a 6-month-old child who lives nearby to stop breathing. It happened in my neighborhood. I found myself choking on the chemical irritant that they unleashed that day. Victor Manuel Diaz was transported from Minnesota to Camp East, Montana. 8 days later, he died in custody. ICE has still not explained how. The Department of Homeland Security agents shot and killed U.S. citizen Renee Good and Alex Preddy on the streets of Minneapolis. Alex Preddy was disarmed on camera and shot not one time, not two, not 3, 4, or 5, not 6. Friends, not 7 or 8. He was shot 10 times. And I hate to bring you back to that terrible moment, but we cannot turn our eyes away from it. Federal law enforcement is still refusing to partner with state law enforcement like Hennepin County and the Attorney General's Office and the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension to investigate these deaths. The administration offered all kinds of reasons for the surge, but every single one falls apart under the lightest scrutiny. It wasn't about immigration. Minnesota's non-citizen immigrant population is just 1.5% below the national average. The population is just 1.5%, half the national average. So most states have more than us. It wasn't about fraud. ICE agents aren't forensic accountants. They're not trained to fight fraud. In fact, the surge has made the fight against fraud in Minnesota much more difficult, as the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota has been decimated by resignations due to the surge. And the remaining assistant U.S. attorneys who are there are drowning under a flood of habeas corpus petitions. As is proper, they should, because people have a right to due process. It wasn't about public safety, because ICE has made our state less safe. At the time that Alex Preddy was killed, the city of Minneapolis had only experienced 1 homicide, so they were responsible for 2 out of the 3. And the vast majority of people ICE has arrested in Minnesota have no criminal record at all. What the surge is about is what President Trump said it was about. Who can forget his Truth Social tweet where he said the day of reckoning and retribution is coming? It's about vindictive politics. Trump sees Minnesotans as his enemy. Not that we've ever done anything to him, but sometimes just being who you are offends some people. Being just, being fair, living in your own skin upsets some people. Minnesota has voted against Donald Trump every time he's been on the ballot, and so he sought retribution, as he said himself. He's tried to cut our funding and shut down our programs Minnesotans rely on, and I've sued him every time, and I will continue to do so. He's tried to pressure us into turning our backs on immigrants, on the trans community, and on the values of inclusion itself. He's attacked our communities with vile, racist language, referring to the Somali community as garbage. And then he sent DHS to sow terror in our streets. This kind of targeted use of force to coerce cities and states to adopting administration's preferred policies is the opposite of the rule of law. It is a marker of tyranny. But in the face of that tyranny, Minnesotans showed real courage. Minnesotans have set up mutual aid networks to get food and supplies to families that are struggling because they're afraid to go to work. Communities that are organizing transportation to make sure kids can get to school without ICE harassing their parents or them. People organize themselves to legally observe DHS agents. It is thanks to them that we have documented so many cases of these federal conduct and behaviors. And more than 100,000 came out to peaceful protests on back-to-back Fridays in the bitter winter cold. The importance of this testimony cannot be diminished. Many of the people we'll hear from today will be sharing some difficult experience. That's courage too. Hearing and learning from these experiences can help us understand what happened and guide our future actions to make sure it doesn't happen again in Minnesota or elsewhere. Hearings like this help bring those experiences together in one place so that they can be documented and understood. As your Attorney General, I know just how many groundbreaking investigations can begin with people speaking up about what they've experienced. We know Minnesota needs a thorough investigation into what our neighbors have had to suffer through. Your testimony is an important step toward our ability to heal and our ability to seek accountability, justice, and a better protection for our civil rights. In addition to testimony delivered here today, my office has set up a federal action reporting form on our website, reporting incidents or effects related to or caused by the recent actions in Minnesota, including related to the surge. I encourage you to use it. You can find it at ag.state.mn.us/federal action or just by searching federal action on the AG's website. So before we begin, again, I'd like to thank everyone who's come here today, and I'd like to recognize Rochelle Garza, Chair of the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights, who will be presiding over this hearing. The U.S. Commission on Civil Rights has a long history of documenting civil rights violations and helping the country confront difficult truths, and this hearing today is in good hands, both hers and yours. Gracias.